parents and the children could have fun together.
Please board quickly and safely. Our monorail will be departing momentarily.
Welcome to the My DVC Points podcast. Join the conversation as DVC members share their stories, personal preferences, and magical memories. Your reservation is confirmed, your fast passes are booked. Pull up on the yellow strap because our journey into the magic of membership is about to begin.
To infinity and beyond.
Now, here's your host and curator of magical stories, Chad Pennycuff.
Welcome home, neighbors, to the My DVC Points podcast. Today we are doing our monthly DVC Market Recap Report where we talk about right of first refusal, what Disney bought back last month, average sales prices, inventory analysis, and then any other special contracts and deals that we have. If you guys have questions about what's going on in the resale market and you happen to be tuning into this show live, be sure to leave them in there. We will be pulling in your live chats as well. Let me welcome back to the show my good friend, Linda Smith. And Linda, you're in a brand new house as well. You and Andy, like, what's the deal? Like, y'all are moving on me now.
I think we've got the bug of some kind. I don't know, but I mean, when opportunity knocks, you got to open the door and just throw yourself through it.
And
that's exactly what I did.
That's really all I can see that's going on here. But welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
And in this month, we're talking about right of first refusal. And just if you're new to this, what happens is if I were to list my contract and you were to buy it and Linda was our agent, she would write up the deal. We would both sign it. And then Linda has to send it over to Disney. And Disney
Correct.
has the right to come in and say, hey, we're going to step in as the buyer, not you, the listener. Chad, here's your money.
Yep,
And
exactly.
That's the process called right of first refusal. Historically, it's been really bad. We're talking 15, maybe even 20% some months of contracts that Disney buys back. But for the last, I don't know, almost year, it's almost been crickets out of them.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I really appreciate you bringing it up. And because a lot of people need to understand what first right of refusal really is. Because quite often I'll get offers down at the bottom. It'll say cash deal, quick close. And they really don't understand there's no way to ramp that up. It's all Disney's decision and it has to go to them first, but it is quicker. I've had them go through in 9 days. I'm not telling you they will, but the average is about 2 weeks, maybe a little bit more, maybe 2.5 weeks, 2.5 weeks. That's about average.
Yeah, seeing that you brought that up, Paul now started to put this on his blog post.
There it is,
so
18 days.
Average time, 18 days.
Yep.
So, and I think those are calendar days as well, not business days.
Yeah, because they kind of have banker's hours in the first right of refusal department. You're not going to see them in there most likely on Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
So business days.
Oh, it is business days, but
yeah, that's what I would think.
I'll clarify that with him. Anyways, coming back in, we're looking at this report and there's really not much to see here other than last month we had 2 Grand Floridians so far for the year. This month we've added 1 poly contract.
Yeah.
And when we look at the pricing on this, 135 is what I'm seeing.
Yeah, I think it was a 100-point contract went out for 135.
Yeah, and if I look at average sales prices for poly, 153, it wasn't a great deal for the mouse, but it was still below average, significantly below average as well. So I can understand why the mouse is stealing that back, going, hey, we're getting ready to do a bunch of marketing to sell out the Poly Resort here. Let's come back in and do what we got to do and take some of this stuff off the market.
Exactly. And we know the mouse doesn't like to give up a lot of cheese, but he did a little bit more than normal here with this one. But that just goes to show you, even though the bear's still asleep and in the real world, bears wake up in the spring, don't they? And they're very hungry. So maybe he's starting to stir a little bit and need some snacks. Who knows?
I think he's just there to keep us on his toes and remind us that he's still there and still watching and could strike at any point in time, because we call it the Rofer Monster for a reason, because when you're getting ready to buy this as the buyer, you kind of live in fear that the mouse is going to steal your deal. And historically, they haven't been stealing too many deals here. So
no,
at least not as of recently.
No. And like we were talking earlier, I think that, if you're a buyer and you're thinking about, well, let me sit on the fence because maybe it's going to go low, low, low. I wouldn't sit on the fence. I'd get off and I'd run through this green pasture because you've got so many listings out there. We're heavy. There's lots to pick from, great menu. And you know what? A matter of weeks from now, who knows? You could look behind you and go, wow, you know what? I really wish I would have grabbed that Poly or grabbed that Beach Club or grabbed that Boardwalk, because now looks what's happened. Nobody control it. But the first quarter, guys, that's prime time in direct as well as resale sales. So I would get off the train and start shopping pretty hard.
Yeah. One of our Facebook moderators, Singh, makes this comment. He says 135 is what Poly was selling out at a low point during the pandemic. It's a no-brainer for the mouse with new points coming.
Yeah,
And
great comment.
yeah, I think so as well. Like that was just like a, hey, we're going to not let this one slide because we're getting ready to sell this thing for probably $235 a point. And that's an easy $100 flip for them.
And a little bit of scare tactic maybe on their part, but it did happen.
Yeah. And they get the added benefit of a scare tactic as well. So I get it. I completely get it. But let's start to come back into this. And the summary here on last month is prices have stabilized. Because before we've seen this kind of like a dip down, and you can see it right here in Animal Kingdom. But we're at 107 now, which I think is a really fair price for Animal Kingdom. If I was in the market and considering Animal Kingdom, I would be jumping on this and Bay Lake right now.
Yep.
And I'm a huge fan of Bay Lake. During the pandemic, I sold, what was it, 480 points of Bay Lake at 165 and above. So
that was a happy time for you.
Yeah, I sent this to my wife right beforehand, and I was like, look, we sold at a really good time. And it's not that I hated selling that resort. I love that resort. I love the low dues of that resort.
Yes, that's a positive. Well, you know, Chad, you can always get your checkbook out. Now's a good time. You can get back in anytime you want to.
Yeah. No, I've still got 500 and some odd points, so I'm good. But I miss the low dues of Bay Lake. I'll tell you that. I definitely tell you that as well. Plus the 11-month booking option there for 4th of July and Christmas and New Year's. So
yeah, it's a beautiful place to be, you know, particularly holiday, and to be able to walk across to the Magic Kingdom, because some people still don't realize that that's a feasibility for them if they don't want to wait on the monorail to do that. But there's a lot of positives having a monorail in your portfolio anyway. And this has got one of the lower dues. So great choice if you're looking with all the sizes of homes. And only resort, as you know, Chad, that in that one bedroom has 2 full bathrooms.
Yeah. It's the only one on the monorail with that.
Yeah, exactly. So to me, I think that's a big plus for a family too.
Yeah, I think so as well. Tinfoil Mouse Ears is saying they love their Bay Lake points, and I'm with you 100%. It's still my number one go-to. I think that Animal Kingdom and Copper Creek is looking pretty strong with the years left at 136. You're not really paying a premium, but you're getting, this is the last of the non-restricted resorts.
It is. And what a great point to bring up too on your part, Chad, with the deed length, because you know, a lot of my members are in it for the willing, for the passing down, for the legacy to continue to those kids and grandkids. With a long deed like that, oh my gosh, you've got decades of usage to pass down. Yeah.
You're sitting really, really, really good on a Copper Creek contract as well. And the new Poly coming up as well is you know, my recommendation is if you're going to be buying direct right now, wait and see what happens with the Poly. And wait and see what they do with the prices on that, because it should be the old resort and it should be the same condo. When you resell, it's not going to have the new restrictions on it. And I'm going to strongly look at that. And that's going to be my go-to recommendation. The same way Grand Flow was way back when, if you're looking at direct points. But
Exactly. And that is kind of hits the nail on the head, is everything's moving and swaying towards, that's going to be an extension. Which again, to underline for resale, because we still get a lot of those questions. You know, what about Poly? Am I going to be restricted? So when it becomes an expansion, it's not another public offering statement. It's not a brand new resort. So you're not going to be subject to those restrictions. It kind of follows the path of Grand Floridian, as you mentioned.
Which I think was awesome, right? I think that was an awesome deal. And when they put that on fire sale, close it out, get rid of it, it was the best deal to be had direct, because I think members were getting it with incentives for like 170-ish. and you guys were selling it for 156 at the time.
It was a great deal for people, and we'll see what the Polynesian does. But I just love the fact that no member of Polynesian, whether they're direct or resale, will do anything but benefit from this to be an expansion. And a lot of people don't know. It's a lot easier for Disney too to make an expansion because they don't have to register it in all the states, so people can buy from home. They can start selling it faster. They can start bringing in the dollars quicker. The sales force is all ramped up and excited. So there are a lot of positives to stay as an expansion. So I think that'll be great.
If you started coming back in at this, and I still don't understand why Beach Club is selling for what it is. I don't understand Boardwalk, given 17 years of life left. But that's just a shake my head level of 2042. And the people that really love that. Boulder Ridge at 106, when for what, $30 more, you can have 30 years more. Like,
Yeah, it's crazy. And, just to jump real quick back and forth, the Boardwalk Beach Club sells so very well now because of Food Wine Festival and Flower and Garden. I mean, in real estate, it's location, 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 and sitting right next to Epcot. And Boulder Ridge is gorgeous with that refresh and that redo and those updates that they did. It's a beautiful resort. And, Chad, I will tell you, there are still quite a few of my clients that call that don't want a super 30, 40-year deed. They want something to dip their toe in, to try it out.
Yeah.
That shorter deed works for them because they know they can buy more points later at a different resort. So why not?
There's reasons to buy everything that's here, Linda. It's I just don't see the whole shorter deed thing because I'm looking at giving it to my kids. And at this point in time, my kids want it. And at this point in time, my financial picture looks like I will be able to not only give them that, but I will be able to give them an asset that will generate the dues for them. So I would not give it to them if it was a burden on them. And some people are in that situation where they're like, hey, I don't want to give this to my kids because it's going to be a burden on them. And
you bring up a really good point, Chen, too, because a lot of questions over the years, even when I was a director all those years, a lot of members came in as brand new people said, Linda, we love this membership idea, but we don't, and we want to pass it, but we don't want to pass a financial burden. So many of them took a percentage of points, rent them out, maybe put them over in our other sister company, DVC Rental Store, rent them out, use that money to pay dues, use the other ones. Of course, obviously it depends on how large and how many points you have, but that idea is definitely valid and definitely possible for
it's
that
definitely
family.
Possible, right? It's definitely possible, right? And that would be an easy way of doing it is like, hey guys, you have your prepaid Disney vacations, or at least the resort part of it, airfare and park tickets and food.
Got to get there. Got to pay to go in.
My argument is you got to eat anyways, no matter where you're at. If you're on vacation or not, you got a food budget. So you might as well be using it at Disney.
It's true. And, in the long term of it as well, too, when you look at the cost of the annual dues, that's basically what you're vacationing on. You've got your membership paid. Can you take those annual dues right now? And can you go stay on a rental property premium for the cost of dues?
Let's be honest. You're also going to have annual passes. Right. Because if you're going to come to Disney more than once a year.
If you're going to come more than once a year, you need to look at that. You need to look.
Annual passes and park tickets. And park tickets are not cheap. So
They're
it's
not.
dues, park tickets. I wish Magical Express was back so that we didn't have to factor that transportation factor in. But
that'd be nice, wouldn't it? It'd be great. But a lot of members too, and I think this is something as you mature over the years, is that a lot of members do like to come to Disney and stay at the resorts. I have a lot of clients over the years that didn't necessarily want to just come and go to the park. They love the resorts, the restaurants, the
our
golf.
editor, Dave, his family loves just doing Disney resort only stays.
Oh, that's
He's
good.
just like,
Yeah,
I don't like the crowds, the hassle, the hustle, and the bustle, and the commando style in the parks. We like the Disney experience of the resorts. And I'm like, okay, well.
Each to his own. It fits everybody.
Each to your own, Dave, but I'll be park hopping, buddy, and I'll come chill with you at your resort. Like don't get me wrong, and we do every time he's here. So, but there's a different style, and I get it. I completely get it.
Yes.
And back to this, like Old Key West at $89. I'm starting to see the value in buying that because those are the 2042 points. This extended is the 2057 points.
Mm-hmm.
you can see the market correcting for those 15 years there.
Yeah.
And at around $25 a point. So
It definitely adds the value when you've got the 2057 deed. If you can find one, there's not a lot of them out there, but if you can find one, and again, like yourself, Chad, and wanting to will this to the kids, you've got another 15 years there. And a lot of people don't understand, well, what does that mean? What's an extended, what caused that? Well, that was something that Disney did, and it was a great idea. And it started back in 2008, I believe. I was there for it. And they offer the members currently, if they wanted to pay in the initial years, $15 a point, they could get another 15 years on the deed. Many people took advantage of that. That was a great
it was a great deal.
It went up a little bit over time. They don't do it anymore. They don't.
Now the only thing they sell is the 2057s. If you buy Old Key West from Disney, they're just saying, hey, we're only selling extended. That's it.
Yeah, for tens of thousands of dollars more, we might add.
Yeah. I think they put it on sale at $165 direct this month.
Crazy.
And I'm like going, okay, but that's still $52 more a point. You're almost 40-something% more expensive.
You can get a lot to buy at resale. You can get a lot more points for that cost.
That's the whole point of this conversation is we're trying to reach people that are looking into resale or looking into DVC and go, at least come consider this, because the direct guides are not going to tell you this. This is info that you're never going to hear from Disney. They're gonna make shallow mentions like, oh, you could always resell your property if you're done with it. But then they quickly, sleight of hand shift of peanut shell kind of game onto another topic so that you don't go, oh, I could resell it. Well, maybe I could buy a resale. They don't want you to make that shift. And
leadership's pretty strong with them about not taking up that big dialogue, with them. And unfortunately, a lot of things come out and they're not exactly as they should, but they mean very well.
Yeah,
they mean very well. But they're in there to buy direct. That's their job.
Yeah, I get it.
Yep.
They're there to sell direct. Mm-hmm. I'm here to come back in and create content on both sides of this that says, look, guys, make an educated decision as to what's best for your family.
Do your research.
Do your research, figure out what's best for you. This is why we've had over 500 odd voices on our show over the last 5 years from various different people, various different perspectives. And not everybody has to agree. Like, this is not a life or death situation. You're a Bay Lake fan. You love your Riviera. Okay, cool. Love your Riviera, dude. Like, I'll meet you at Bar Riva. But I'm not buying it. Okay. I'm like, I just did an episode that came out of 5 reasons why I'm not buying the Fort Wilderness cabins, and pretty strong opinion on it. I'm going to tell you, it's the strongest chat opinion I've ever put out on a show, but I think I just dialed in and nailed what they got wrong on that resort and why I'm not touching it. But
and what would you say to that?
In terms of
why you're not buying that? What is your heartfelt, reason?
Oh, the dues are going to be insane. The dues are going to be, they're already astronomical, and they're going up higher. Mm-hmm. It's a hurricane bait. You're turned a trailer park into a timeshare.
Hurricane bait.
It's seriously, they evacuate the place every time there's a hurricane threat here.
It may tip over. Well, right? It's modular. Isn't it? Right? It's modular. So you're talking about something that...
It was trailers, okay? Mm-hmm. It was trailers. Now I'm hearing it's more of a modular design.
It is.
And so we'll see. I could be corrected on, but it was a trailer park, okay? You can't deny that, right? Yeah. It's because we've seen them being wheeled down on I-4. Like, there's actual photos. And we've actually seen where the person who's buying them is selling them for like $60,000 a used trailer.
Oh,
a used trailer for $60,000 just because it used to be at Disney. Like, okay.
Yeah. And I'm not real high on the location strength of it. People do love it because it's got a pet friendly atmosphere over there. So a lot of people that travel, with their dogs, because a lot of that you can't do at the resorts because it's the health department. It's not just Disney saying that, it's the health department. So they've set up situations over there are good, but, come out to launch yourself, to pull the curtain back when your dues are that high in the beginning, they're only going to go up.
Yeah.
And it's because it's operating costs and the way it's made. And That's what it is, unfortunately.
But I look at this and I come into it strong, but I know darn good and well, Linda, 9 months from now, you're going to have one of those listings up here on this site. We're going to be talking about it on this report. And I'm still going to be like, I ain't buying it. Okay. But we'll still talk about it because I think it's probably going to sell for, 100, 120 a point, something like that. Just insanely. You've got the only thing that's there is cabins. Okay. That's the only thing you can book. And
they're woodsy. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, who could do a review over there?
When you have 300 plus cabins that are identical in the same booking inventory, you know how easy that is to waitlist? Your chances of waitlisting coming through are better at that resort than anything else out there. So anyways,
I would agree with you. I mean, my personal feeling, if you want that rustic, log cabin, Swiss Family Robinson feel, you go over and do a Treehouse at Saratoga because they're delightful.
And don't get me wrong. I'm going to be trying to book it opening day. I've got my calendar set, my alarm set the day before, like multiple alarms set. I am going to be booking that thing opening day and staying there and trying to cover it.
Yeah, because every member wants to stay there too, remember, because it's a novelty thing. They want to say, been there, done that. So with you going over there to cover it, that'll be great, I think, to do that.
Yeah, but I'm not buying it. Okay. I'm not buying it. Right. It's just really not going to happen. And yeah, we could go off the whole time on this show, but I listened to that episode. If you go back a couple in that 5 reasons why I'm not buying Fort Wilderness Cabin. And by the way, if you guys are a Fort Wilderness Cabin, because we did kind of dish on it a little bit here, if you're a super fan of that, drop me an email at mydvcpoints@gmail.com. I want your opinion on the show. I want to counterbalance my don't like it with your love of it. And I want to bottle that up and get it out into the community if you're a super fan of it, because that's what I do here. I present all sides, and the whole premise of our platform is it's my DVC points. This is how I view things. This is my take on it from the community's level perspective. So having multiple opinions and positions on it is always welcome. Always welcome on this show.
You always carry a respectable filter.
Yeah.
It's respectable. It's, it stays professional, but everybody needs to be able to voice somewhat of an opinion to understand that there are a lot of different choices that are out there. I mean, I think the big thing is be a DVC member. Make your own choice. Do your research. Be a member. Make it happen for your family. Yeah.
Join in when the time is right for you. Join in. That's another underlying theme of our content and our show is do your research. Talk to enough members, and talking to members will get you off the fence. Okay,
it will.
And if you choose that this isn't right for you, and we helped you do that, I'm celebrating. And if we choose that this is right for you and you guys decide to call up Linda or anybody else at DVC Resale Market and purchase a contract, I'm celebrating. If you choose to go to direct and buy contracts and buy points there, I'm celebrating. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And
I just want you to make an informed decision. Right?
Sure. And that's the bottom line. And, when I was on the ships and even when I was selling on land all those years for Disney, there were 3 things we always heard from members. Wish we had joined sooner. Wish we had bought more points. Best thing we've ever done. So definitely what you said, go talk to members. They're going to tell you, they'll give you the bottom line, truth of the matter. Call our company. We're happy to talk to you for just questions. But it is definitely something you want to look into if you're going to vacation this way.
Yeah. If you're coming to Disney, if you're coming to Disney consistently and regularly and staying in Disney-owned hotels and resorts, this is almost a no-brainer. If you're doing it consistently over time. So you will come out ahead over time. That's the whole key, right?
Yes. Bottom line, it makes economic sense in the long run.
And when that phase of your life is past, like all of these people here that we're seeing, and we'll come over to these listings in just a second. But when that has passed, there's a vibrant and active resale market and a vibrant and active rental market. And that's my message that I try to get out here to this. Do your research. Don't be afraid. There's a great resale rental market. Come on in. And there's a wonderful community of people. My whole show was built and my whole community of, I don't know, we've got 20,000 people in our Facebook groups now. It's just insane. But that's because we serve people and we create a respectful, open, honest, safe and place to ask questions and do your research. So, okay, Linda, I feel like we've chased a rabbit so far. It's not funny, but Let's move off to the non-Walt Disney World resorts is what they're being called. And I'm still strong on buying Alani at 105. You've still got 30 some odd years of life left there. And at 104 a point. And if you want to go there, it's a phenomenal deal. Disneyland Hotel finally made it onto the radar. I mean, it was like one contract a month for a couple months that was being sold, but I guess they finally had enough that they felt comfortable in putting the data up here at 150. And which I think is incredibly low, but I get it for the restrictions in the transient tax.
Yeah, transient tax is quite a big deal there, and a lot of people are not aware of it. And so you definitely want to check into member services when you book it to see what that's going to be based on how many points you're going to use, because it is not Disney doing that to you; it's California. California's decision
not
of
so
this.
fast there. Not so fast there.
But
Disney negotiated that with Linda. Disney negotiated that with the city of Anaheim. So
well, but
they negotiated that with the city of Anaheim to get that, and I think they sold our souls to the devil on that transient tax to get permission to build the property.
Yeah, but when you look at it also, does it behoove Disney to do in a heavy way? Because look at Grand Californian, where it's extremely low to go stay there. Alani has a transient tax as well. I think the point is that it's something you just need to be aware of when you book, because you are going to pay that bill when you go.
But I'm not taking the heat off of Disney for this one. Like, I'm not blaming the city. I'm not blaming the city on
the mouse
this.
likes his cheese as well. You know that.
They negotiated it. I just dropped an episode on the history of the villas at the history of Disneyland Hotel. And Jeff Barnes enlightened us a little bit on the Mickey and Friends parking structure that the city of Anaheim residents are all paying for, that Disney collects all the parking fees on. So that's kind of in the backdrop
fees,
of this.
Yeah, that parking fees, that makes sense.
Right. So the taxpayers built the parking structure. Disney collects all the money from it. That's completely unfair. And they're kind of flipping that with this hotel. So there's a lot of politics that goes on with that, Linda. I'm not letting Disney off the hook for this, because they had a hand in negotiating this. And I think it's their due. When the dues shoot way up and the cost of going there, it's so that they can be, it's not us, it's the city of Anaheim. Well, okay,
that's what
you
they
negotiated
want you to know,
Grand Cal at like 50 cents a point, and this is like 3 or 4 times higher.
It is, but you know what? There was quite a bit of time that went by as well too. But it took a long time for that permitting to get that resort to where they could put that thing up. So I totally believe there was a lot of negotiation and passing the buck here and there and everywhere for that. But I think the main thing with it is people, when they go stay there and they book it, they just need to be aware, because you've got your West Coast public that's going to be a big target for them.
It is what it is when you stay there, right?
Yeah.
I have 3 nights in a 2-bedroom this summer, and it's over $600 transient tax for 3 nights. Yeah,
and you look at that in the long-term economics and run your break even. It takes a lot longer if you're going to go there consistently to get that break even because of that transient tax. Yep. And it's just, was it the purpose of the Disney Vacation Club to really have that? Not really, but there you are. No. But I mean, you stayed there and you're going back. It's a beautiful property. You can't take that away. And it's big enough.
I can tell you this, Linda. I'm going to 11-month book it because I own there now. And as soon as the 7-month comes up, I'm waitlisting Grand Cal. And that's my strategy, because this way I've got my Disneyland hotel, my Disney vacation.
You're going. Yep.
I know I'm going. I'm locked in. And if I can shift over to the other resort that has less transient tax, I'm good. Or no transient tax, because the owners pay it there. Yeah. It's built into their dues.
It's built into the dues. Right? It's like 50 cents a point. And so it's going to be interesting because, they opened Disneyland Tower with the idea that would be a pretty fast sell through. I think it's going to take a while. I think it's going to take a while.
The member community has looked at the dues and the transient tax on this and went, we're not buying. And it's really, really, really slowed down in sales. And meanwhile, we saw Grand Cal spike when that opened up last back up to 318. And now it's finally starting to come back down to reality at 262.
Yeah. We got wiped out when Disneyland Tower Hotel opened. And the transient tax first came out, because people didn't really know how to digest all that. And it was a big negative in a lot of people's mind. And we literally blew through Grand Californian listings here.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's what happened. But now it is, like you said, back to a little bit more normal range because everybody knows. I mean, if you know anything about Grand Cal, if you're going to want to stay there, you need to own it. You really do. It's hard to get in 7 months.
With a studio. 1 bedrooms are more acceptable. 2 bedrooms are a little bit better, but yeah. And
2 bedrooms are most of what they built there. So it is, like you said, it's a little bit better, but still, I think in the long run, particularly for certain times, you've just got to be an owner there to get certain times a year for sure.
Yeah, they built 23 2 bedrooms, 23 lock-off units. So there's 23 bookable units of each and 2 grand villas. So it's a decent spread there. I mean,
but there's 48 keys. So it's interesting. Like you said, it's interesting because it is so small that, it still comes down to the availability. I've had members get in it for sure, but it's so teeny tiny. We all wish, I think you do too. We wish we could have seen that be a bigger resort because it's gorgeous.
Yeah, that would have been nice. But again, I think we got lucky to get that one sneaked in there as an add-on wing when they expanded it.
Yeah.
So it's still the darling gem of DVC. It still is. And then you follow it right back up with Hilton Head and Vero here, which I think are appropriately priced. And I've got an analysis that we've got a PhD guy that does data science for the auto industry. And he did an analysis on this and he went, Vero Beach is really appropriately priced for the dues. It's the market is very efficient and corrected itself. So I've started looking at his math. We're going to have an episode coming out on it. But the essence of buying Hilton Head or Vero Beach is A, I don't want the long deed. And B, I want the low upfront cost. I'll pay, a third the price now, but I'll pay double in dues or 50% more in dues to buy Vero Beach.
And it's amazing. I was on the grand opening team for Vero Beach back in 1995 and launch price was $62.75 per point. And when you look at this property, which I will tell you, go there. If you haven't been there, go there. It's gorgeous. But when you can go in and buy a property for less than what it was grand opening day in 1995, you're going to be in good shape. But just be careful with that 7 months is if you're just buying it to go to Disney World, just be careful about your seasons with that. But it's a great value, even with the dues higher, because you're still going to have a break even. And it would take you, decades to catch up to the dues on a Vero Beach property, and Hilton Head too. So
that's the whole argument
looks.
There is, especially if you're having to finance all of that. Because remember, if you can pay cash for Vero versus having to finance my darling gem Bay Lake Tower up here, right? So from 132 to 54, you're financing 70 something dollars at 10+% interest. Like 17, 18, some people are paying on these loans. The interest cost alone will more than offset the cost of your dues, right?
Yeah,
so if you're looking to do this, don't sleep on those just because the price is low or the dues are high. They're priced appropriately and the math works out. We'll come back and improve that later with my friend Mark. And he's a really, really sharp guy, but that's kind of my summary on it there. So, Linda, let's move over to our final topic today at listings. And we still see, well, right now, let me refresh this just in case you guys sold some in the last minute or two since I pulled it up.
Probably did.
No, you added one. It went from 601 to 602. That's how real time this is. And the
gotta love it.
Time of this show started, we've got a new listing on here. That's how real time their inventory is.
And the listing manager is great. I mean, the department, they put up listings morning, noon, night, sometimes late night. So, definitely get the DVC Resale Market app loaded in because that's a big helpful shopping tool for a buyer.
Yeah, that definitely is. So I'm looking at this, Linda, and I see 602 contracts out here. When I look back over at the right of first refusal report, we can see how many contracts you guys have sold this year. 1255 right there. So that tells me you guys are averaging almost 420 contracts a month. And when I look at 602 listings here, I'm not too worried about it because I see the sales volume on this, right? Yeah. It's not like I'm going, oh, we're up from 400 to 600. Well, we're up that way, but that's because your market is growing and your expanse is growing. So you're still only looking at an average of 43 days on the market. I
Yeah.
mean, or you have an average inventory in there. If we were to talk about it the way car dealers do, how much inventory do you have on the market? You have 43 days worth of sales.
And you never know what's going to come in, because quite a bit I'll get a question, when am I going to see another Boardwalk contract come in for, say, 200 points? Well, we don't know that. We get listing requests every day through the day for all different resorts. So again, the best thing to do is just be hot onto the website and watch it, because if you're looking for something special, that doesn't mean it's going to sit there long. And those little baby listings, Chad, and you know this, those 50 pointers,
gone.
60 pointers, they can be listed late at night and be gone by the morning.
Yeah, they're people
Very
snatch
popular.
up 50, 60 points.
They do.
And the reason why is it's easier to come up with $5-6 grand for a small add-on than it is to buy a 250, 300 point add-on.
Exactly.
It's just easier to come up with a smaller amount of cash to come in and buy this. So, and everybody wants more points. And when you want more points, add-onitis is kind of like, well, if I only had another 100 points, if I only had another 50, 60 points, right? It doesn't come into, if I only had another 500 points.
No, that's very aggressive. But, and I had someone, this was a few months ago, this was last year, there was an adorable family. They were a young family. And they said, we absolutely love Disney, but we just can't afford it. But we've got X amount of money to use. And we talked for a while, and, they thought about it overnight, and they came back. And this was a brand new member. They bought 50 points from us as a starter package. Mm-hmm. They wanted to add on later, they would. And 50 points at Animal Kingdom, when you look at that Jumbo house and that point table, they could get like 9-10 points a night. So they could get 5 nights a year. That could work for them. And when they're in a better state financially, you bet they're going to add on. Shoot, I had members at Disney Direct that would buy 50 points every year. If they can get the value
rooms that are there, right? There's only like 18 of them.
Well, and there's also
they're a dogfight to get, right? But there's also,
they've got Home Resort Priority to do it.
Yeah,
so
they can get on the wait list at 11 months. Because
we would always encourage you to buy more. And you're correct, Chad, in what you're saying. We'd always encourage people to buy more. But if the choice is buy a small package versus not getting in, buy a small package.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you mentioned this earlier, and I want to just bring up and highlight it. If you're looking for a contract, go get their app. Just search for DVC Resale Market on the Apple App Store, the Google App Store. It's on both of them, because that thing will give you push notifications as soon as something that meets your criteria is listed. And if you're looking for a small pointer, that's your best shot at actually snagging one and getting it, is to be on it instantly when it lists, because those go really, 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 really fast.
They do. To underline what you said, they go really, really fast. And like you said, Chad, you can filter for what you want. Members can filter for use year. What I would recommend you do is know that it works really well for iPhone, some of the Android devices as well. If you ever have trouble with it, which is rare, just delete it and reload it. Because you got to, refresh it, just delete it and reload it, because it gets a lot of traffic and a lot of business. But I've had people tell me that was the only way they were able to get a really small, like, beach club one, Grand Californian, is they had that app.
Yeah, that is a really, really, really good tip there as well. So I don't think we've got time to dive into any of these, but a couple of them had me drooling. The certified hot price at 101.
Those are below market value. Yes.
There's some deals to be had out here, guys. If you put your deal hunter hat on, they are there, and their marketing team is doing a phenomenal job at coming up with little incentives and spiffs and reasons why you should get off the fence and buy one of these if you're in the market for it. But as always, do your research.
You bet. And a little tip to share with the buyers is when you find a listing like the one you love there, open it up and look all the way down to the bottom of the listing, because that will give you special data, whether something is either full price only, or maybe it's a foreign seller, or maybe that's a delayed closing. And that's not a bad thing. That just means the seller has to finish up on a reservation that they've booked, but you can buy it. It'll go through ROFR the same amount of time. Mm-hmm. So no slowdown. So the buyer knows they're going to get it. And then it's going to close right after that reservation completes. So that's kind of like my biggest thing that I find is when sometimes, people don't read it all the way down. And
I love that, Linda. I love giving people the pro insider tips And then people love that. That's why they listen to our shows. And you're saying, come back in, read this certified hot price, read this firm sale.
Yes.
Only a full price will do. Right.
Yes.
This seller is saying, hey, look, this is a smoking good deal. It's below value. I know it's below value. I'm not negotiating. And
yes. And so we can't take that offer forward, if it's less than. So, sometimes the buyer's like, well, why can't? Because, we're licensed. We're always going to present all offers unless there's a disclaimer. So find that disclaimer so that you're well educated, and that'll make life easy for you.
Yeah. Yeah, it certainly will. That's a really good point here.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's circle back through some comments here, Linda. I'm going to ask you to start thinking of any final things that you want to say or any promotions that I happen to miss from the memos from you guys, and we'll do that. But I just want to catch up with our community comments here, because we do this show live as well as the historical traditional audio only podcast. So Tinfoil Mouse Ears, the premium view at Bay Lake Value, has the most value there. I absolutely love that for short stays, because I think at long stays, it doesn't really work for me because I'm paying a huge price for something that I'm seeing multiple nights. But Ron says if they just had a better pool at Bay Lake Tower, I'd be all in. It is a concrete jungle outside, Ron. I'll give you that one. He's saying the VGF fire sale spurred me to sell resale contracts and jump into direct there, but it's very clear that resale is the way to go right now. And Ron normally joins me on a show where we talk about the latest DVC incentives that comes out. We got to get back with him and get on that. Tinfoil Mart is also saying that they love the non-park resorts like Vero and Alani, especially with the complexity of Genie Plus. And yeah, we essentially boycotted it. My family, we boycotted family vacations at Walt Disney World when they weren't selling annual passes. And that's when we took it upon ourselves to go check up the non-park. And now that we've got our annual passes back, we're good. Cabins, the design of the room is strange. For a set of parents to have privacy, they have to sleep on the Murphy bed and put all the kids in the bunk beds in the main bedroom, which is just backwards. Like it's, yeah. And then the best thing we've ever done, Hawaii, Europe cruises, great memories of the parks, all because of DVC. It definitely puts a lot of things in there. And Singh is saying 5,000 plus in the My DVC Points community who aren't shy about sharing their thoughts. Right. That is very true. We're very respectful in there. You get in, you get disrespectful, and Marianne, our room mom, will scold you pretty heavily. And but yeah, we're very respectful in there, but we do welcome all opinions that are respectful.
Transparency, yep.
Yeah, he's saying, look at the Grand Cal price. Came back from Vero. He was agreeing with you that it's a great resort. Our buddy Rye, he says, I have a friend contemplating an Alani contract. What's more economical, subsidized or non-subsidized? And I think it's about a $15 a point spread these days, maybe 20. But when you look at how many years it's going to take you to make that up, it's about 7 to 8 years if you hold on to the contract. But the other thing of it is at the end of this contract, when you're done with it, Rye, you're selling a subsidized due contract. So you're going to get more for it than somebody else as well. So I think subsidized dues is the only way to go at Alani if you can find them. And then
they're hard to get.
They're very, 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 very hard to get. And I know every time one gets listed, Danny torments me with a text. And it's like, you can't blame a salesperson for selling. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's right. But I'm just like, why do you kill me this way? And Tinfoil Mouse Ears, let's say I had to add on a contract and use year I already have. Does Disney combine contracts or treat them as separate? They treat them as separate contracts, but if they're the same use year, the same member, same title, you can get them to line up next to each other. And when you go to book, you can select them both to book.
Yeah, you keep, the biggest thing is, when it's the same use year, Disney is closing, will merge that under your same member ID number.
Yeah. Keeping them titled the same and the same member number, there's some benefits to that. I would recommend it just to keep life easy, right? Just to keep life easy as well. Let me come back in, Linda, and any final thoughts that we have today on like things that we missed, any big major news announcements. I think our red hot deal, kind of our certified hot price is what we're calling it this month, is going on. It's still strong.
It is very, very strong. And it's something to be aware that, those are really under market value. So you're coming in a buyer's market anyway. and B, being able to go in at under market. So you've got two big wins there. And the third win is, of course, you become a member. And I think, we have, and our company have a lot of great agents like myself that are veterans. We're former DVC guides. I was for over 25 years. I think I'm the oldest that way. Maybe. There's many close.
Most experienced, Linda, most experienced.
Thank you. That's a better wordsmith of that. Thank you very much. So I think, it's very, very important to get your questions answered. Do your research. Be aware of the differences of buying resale versus direct, because many are still not quite sure of it. And I always like to ask new people, are you aware of those differences? Educate yourself to that. The website has a lot of great learnings. The DVC resale market does a lot of great information. And don't be afraid to pick up the phone or text or email one of the agents, like myself, who are more than happy to help you with that education. Absolutely.
Speaking of which, I was just creating this banner. I think I got it right.
Oh,
Let me know.
Thanks.
So Linda at dvcresalemarket.com.
You did. Thank you very much.
353-9600. The way to contact you to follow up. Let me just say that again. Linda, Linda, at dvcresalemarket.com. 352-223-9600 for, I think that's your direct sell, isn't it?
It is my direct sell, and I use it for business, and you're more than welcome to use it.
Yeah, that's what we're very fortunate. Everybody there has that same offer. And so you can contact them however you choose to. Email, text, phone call, whatever works out for you. If you guys have questions, Linda will be glad to help you, or anybody else that's there.
Yes.
And I just, while you were explaining that, I was like, let me just demo this. Like, there is a ton, actually 26 to be exact, certified hot listings out here on the market today below resale market value.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, great. And you can filter for those, by the way, as well.
I just did.
Yeah, just like Chad did. You can filter and get them all separated and find the resort that you are most interested in that way too. But they won't be around forever.
No. And as a matter of fact, Linda, I did a shift, I don't know, maybe almost a year or so ago, where we do this show live, and we keep it up on YouTube and live stream, and we kind of demo your website in the process.
Oh, nice.
Because, I talk through it as a critical analyst buyer, and, what I would do, what I think is helpful, but I also demo it on the website. So hopefully people can start that, do your own research thing. Like, it's kind of what we're here for. You know what I'm saying? It's foundational to everything that we do, is do your research. Like, I can't make this decision for you. I can only share as many different opinions on it as I can and help you get to that point. And then if you want to talk to Linda or anybody else there, that's always an option for you as well.
You bet.
And then Ron says, regardless of what we like or dislike at any given time, we are always blessed to be DVC members.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah. That is true.
Sure.
Like, it's
great.
As much as I, kaputz and, yell about the transient tax at Disneyland Tower, I bought it. Like, I bought it, but I bought it because I was like, it's not my first choice, but I knew that the Disneyland Forward was coming, and eventually I'll own a timeshare in the middle of a theme park, which will be awesomeness. And and my kids still love it, and they're still Disney fans at this point in time. And
it's amazing, the people that do sell theirs. I always ask them why, and I never get from someone that it's because we didn't like it. It's because it didn't work. It's because a life has changed. Maybe they're older, their grandkids are older. There's always something that they look back and go, it was a great experience. It was good for us. We're glad we did it.
Occasionally you'll come across people who will say, we're selling this because we're last minute planners. And DVC is just in its fundamental core at 11-month and 7-month booking, built in its DNA for planners. So if you're trying to come in and use your points at the last minute, let's say under 4 or 5 months, it's going to be really hard to get anything other than Saratoga or Old Key West, maybe Animal Kingdom. But
like you said,
that's a situation where I've heard where the product just wasn't a good fit. And
the local market has an advantage because they can be more flexible. But like you said, that guy from Buffalo, New York, if they're planning last minute, chances are they're going to have a hard time coming down from Buffalo, New York.
Yeah, definitely. And Marissa asked a question here that we want to ask. What do you think the price will be for Poly Direct when the tower is ready?
That's going to be very interesting. What do you think, Chad?
I think we're going to be up at least $10 a point. So I'm going to go $10 a point. That'll put us at what, 245-ish? But I wouldn't be shocked if we don't hear 249. If we go north of 250, I'll be a little shocked. But yeah, I think the mouse is going to be very aggressive at this.
I do too. And usually if they follow suit, because it's a new resort, for the first 2 or 3 weeks, they're going to offer big promotions to members only. Then they're going to open it up to the general public. The promotions will be good, but they'll be less. So it'll be interesting to see what those promotions are and how that knocks down that price per point.
Yeah, it's all going to be about the promotions, but you can guarantee they're going to jack up the price so that if you don't buy at least 150, you're going to pay through the nose for it.
Agreed.
And resale is going to be looking even better. I think it's going to pull up the resale market when this thing starts going and everything else.
It's already done it. It's already moved Polynesian along quicker and faster when more of it's leaned toward that expansion. So if you want Polynesian, now is a great time. Yeah.
And somebody on Facebook says, always great information. We try our best here to come back in and share with you guys because I'm a real member and I'm creating member content. And Linda's and the team over there is helping me do this because we want to help you make good decisions for your family. And
You bet.
Do I think long-term that they will lower the point cost for the bungalows with the new tower? And I know, Linda, we got to get you off to work here pretty soon. You might even be late. You'll find her at the email thing. You can email the deal and Linda will be right there at work. But join us tonight at 9:00. Andy's coming back in and the entire show is dedicated to questions like this. So I'll answer this one and then I'll ask you to rejoin us at 9:00 tonight, Eastern Standard Time. And Andy and I have a show that's just built for this because people love asking them. And we don't mind answering. So do you think they will lower the point cost of the bungalows with the new tower? I think that's highly likely in the future. I would say that they're building in the point charts now and they're going to offer them now and with the ability to come back in and counterbalance that out a little bit later. And
yeah, because they can reallocate.
Yeah, because I think they can reallocate, and I think that's going to be the big saving grace of this as well, is to come back into it and start to reallocate the points a little bit there and shift some of the bungalow costs down into the new tower. But I still think the point charts at this tower are not going to be pretty. I think they're going to be grand flow or higher level. That's kind of my take as well. So anyways, thank you guys for joining in. We'll be back at 9:00 tonight answering more of your calls. And if you're not following us on YouTube, please give us a subscribe on youtube.com/mydvcpoints. We are trying to get our viewership up there as well, but we've got such a large audience on Facebook. It's hard for us to just fully transition over. So if you could like us on YouTube, that would be awesome. And as always, Linda at dvcresalemarket.com. Thank you for joining us. And if you got any questions, show up tonight or call Linda, right? That's the whole point of this show is like, I don't ask people to call me because I want you guys calling the reps. Like that's what their job is. That's what they get paid for.
And we will help you. So thank you so much, Chad.
Thanks for joining us
again,
Linda.
Here.
It's always been a pleasure. Okay.
You bet.
Have a great night, everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, please watch your head and step as you exit, and take small children by the hand.
Aw, chill up, Dad. You know I'll come back. With DVC.
My DVC Points is an unofficial Disney-inspired podcast created by fans of Disney Vacation Club. The thoughts expressed in this podcast are personal opinions and personal experiences. My DVC Points is not affiliated with Disney Vacation Club, the Walt Disney Companies, or any subsidiaries. We encourage listeners to contact their DVC guide or member services for official DVC policies.